make sure my daughter could call for help. As a warning, this video will have heavy descriptions of domestic violence. Years ago, I pushed really hard to make sure my daughter got a cell phone at a pretty early age, at around 12 years old. My former spouse didn't really understand why this was such a big deal to me. I couldn't really explain it at the time, but I had reasons why I needed her to have a phone. And part of it was from my own experience when I was a babysitter when I was 14. I loved babysitting for Jack and Diane. Not only were they the coolest couple ever, but their kids were sweet and fun. They had a little toddler, Matt, and John, the baby. Jack was a biker, and he often picked me up on his Harley, which was the most amazing thing ever. And his wife loaned me a lot of her leather clothes to wear to rock concerts. They went out partying a lot, and paid well. It was like a dream job. They were out clubbing that night. I had put Matt to bed and rocked John off to sleep. It was a cold night, so they had taken the Mercedes instead of the bike. It was so late, even with checking on the sleeping kids regularly, I was getting tired myself. It was never an issue. They didn't mind at all if I dozed off to sleep, which I did this night. I woke up with a start, heart pounding. I have no idea what woke me up. Neither kid woke up and there was no noise, but for whatever reason, I was wide awake and terrified. I had just gotten my panic under control when I heard a car door slam shut. I looked out the window and saw they were home, so I went to open the front door. Diane came in, and one side of her face was horribly swollen, and she was bleeding. Stupidly, I asked, "Did you get into a fight?" She raced past me to the phone at the dining room table and started dialing. Jack came in next, flying past me and screaming. He grabbed the heavy phone receiver from her hand and bashed the side of her head. Blood splattered across the wall. He ripped the phone from the wall. She screamed back, holding her very bloody face. He smashed her head into the wall, and then she staggered, gushing blood into the bedroom, out of sight. I heard more screaming and ugly sounds of blows landing when she came tumbling out of the bedroom, thrown through the hallway into the crib, waking John. She crawled out of the room as he cried, and Jack dragged her into the hallway. He screamed at the baby to shut up. I was terrified and didn't know what to do. So I went and grabbed the baby, cuddling him and turning him away from the image of his dad straddling his mom and choking her. The silence as he settled was almost scarier than the screaming. Was she dead? I got John settled again and came back out into the living room. I don't know what to do. Diane lay on the floor, broken, bleeding, barely recognizable, but somehow still breathing. Jack told me to sit down as he dialed a number on his cell phone. I slowly perched on the edge of the couch. Diane crawled to me then, gurgling words past the blood. She begged me to protect her babies. I just kept thinking that I was just a kid too. Soon a bunch of Jack's buddies were there. A few of them said they would take Diane to the hospital. Jack asked if I would stay with the kids. Diane started screaming if I stayed, he would rape and kill me. I said I just wanted to go home. One of the guys said he would call his wife to stay with the kids. They left with Diane. Jack looked at me and told me to get in the car. He would take me home. I had no way to call for help or a different ride. The whole way home, I just tried to stay calm. The turn to my street was at the bottom of a dip. We approached the turn as Jack kept telling me he did not want to go back to prison, how he would do anything to not go back to prison. I kept nodding and agreeing as he took his foot off the brake and drove past the turn. I looked at him horrified. I just want to talk. I need to calm down before I go home to my kids, okay? We ended up at an all-night donut shop. He had a coffee and donut, got me something and spent more than the next hour telling me how he was not a bad guy, Prison had just changed him. I was less than 5 kilometers from my home, but no way to call for help, and no one knew where I was. I just tried to be supportive and agreed with everything he said. He paid me $50, which was a lot back then. Finally, we got back into the car and he drove me home. It was one of the longest nights ever. I woke up to a police cruiser outside my house. Diane refused to press charges. About a week later, I got a letter from her, apologizing for everything, taking all of the blame. Sometimes I wonder if she left before he killed her. I wonder if those sweet kids grew up to be good people. So, that's the reason why I make sure my daughter always has a way to call for help.